Let us look at this entitlement mentality of the Fulani. This time around, equally coming from Plateau State. Remember that we are seeing serious crisis in that state after the killing of some persons by suspected Fulani militias in Bokos and Bassa local government areas of the state. And even recently, when the governor of Plateau State will make a proposal to the Senate Committee for constitutional review for the purpose of state police, we have already seen Magban, Metiala in that state coming to say, no, we are not in support of state police. But this time around, another shocker is coming. We will look like tension from equally the state, the Fulanis in that state, saying no one can chase us out of Plateau. It is our state too. Fulani youth leader vows. This is coming from Daily Post, but I will be reading this. And do not forget that this is not the only state or any only place we have seen the Fulanis claiming as their ancestral home. We have seen in the past where the Fulani will equally say they have Sokoto as their ancestral home, even Benue, Taraba, so many other places. But let me bring you this news from Daily Post. It said, no one can chase us out of Plateau. It is our state too. Fulani youth leader vows. You go for that to say that a Fulani youth leader in Plateau State, Hamisu Garuba, has insisted that any attempt by natives to forcefully intimidate and chase them out of the state will not work, as they are also citizens of the state. You go for that to say that Hamisu, who spoke to Daily Post in an exclusive interview, said he and most Fulani people were born and raised in Plateau State, and they do not know any other place apart from the state as such are from Plateau, going by the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which makes it clear that one can claim state of origin where he was born. Now, we understand that the way it is, there has been so much controversy and conflict in terms of Fulani militia. And let us equally remember that in sometime July 2019, the governor of Bauchi State, talking about Bala Mohammed, while they were talking about Ruga, after meeting with the president, then President Muhammad Buhari, and while he was addressing the state house, of course, said that they need Ruga in his state, and that Bauchi State is 60 or 70% Fulani. This one is now coming from a governor of a state. So if that is true, it goes to show that if they are looking for their ancestral home, they should look towards Bauchi, since even the governor of the state have made it clear that they have the majority of people in that state are Fulani. And let us take our attention to the origin of Fulani into Nigeria. We understand that these are people who came from Senegal and Gambia in sometime 14th century, and they find their way in Sokoto, and as you have it, around 1804 century, they successfully established Sokoto Caliphate, which is today seen as the, where the Sultan of Sokoto reigns supreme as the sole chairman of Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs in Nigeria. And that is the situation up to date. But again, let me say that no one would have been asking anyone to leave or to vacate his territory if the Fulanis, particularly the militias, have been living peacefully with their host communities. We understand that this is not the first time. We have seen several places giving Fulani quit notice. The last one came from that River State, from Ogoliland. We have seen in the past where the TV and the Doma in Benue State will be giving them quit notice. We have already seen a monarch in Taraba raising such alarm and giving them quit notice. But the question here is, if they have been living peacefully with their host communities, I don't think anyone will be giving them quit notice, because we take note of the terror of the likes of Ado Aleru, who recently even held a meeting with state governors of Katsina and Zamfara. We saw why he came to the meeting with his men fully armed. Of course, begin to wonder, how can this happen in a sovereign state where you have a government in place at the national level, state level, and local government level that is supposed to have monopoly of coercive power to exert authority over every inch of its territorial integrity. You are seeing a bandit leader coming with a force of that nature. And don't forget that this is a man who has bounty of 5 million on his head. Equally, another issue is the other bandit leader, talking about Taji Bello, who operates in Zamfara State. Of course, we understand that at the time he celebrated burning that military vehicle, and though the military have said in the recent time that they have decimated or rather neutralized his cousin in the battlefield, who doubles as his operational henchman. But up to date, it's not on record that he has been arrested or he's under prosecution to act as deterrent to others. But the way it is, I think we must, as a matter of urgency and necessity, look at how to solve this problem, because you cannot take that away. Even the Global Terrorism Index makes it very clear that Fulani military of Nigerian extraction, I think emphasis should be put on that. Fulani military of Nigerian extraction is the fourth most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. So if the world have actually known this, it means it is of a global dimension. And again, the way it is, we must rejig the security architecture or restructuring, and the other one is separation. Because if the current security arrangement is not able to solve the problem and people come to live at the mercy of the bandits who are majorly from the Fulani extraction, I think the best bet is if the government is not willing to address it, though the current Director General of DSS, talking about Ajayi, has advocated it before now, that going forward that the communities should be empowered to be the first line of defense in case of invasion. But if the government is not willing to address it, is it not better the government find a way of allowing people to go their separate ways, so that those who want to police themselves can fashion out ways to doing that? Because Nigerians cannot continue living at the mercy of the bandits. And again, do not forget that in the time of Darashe Shako as governor of Taraba State, while the military was going from state to state to look at how they can disarm the populace so that the populace can better be policed by the security agencies. The governor then told them that if you want to disarm innocent citizens, first of all, go and disarm bandits who are in the bushes, in the forest, who are bearing arms, sophisticated weapons, because you cannot disarm innocent citizens, then at the middle of the night, you will see the bandits coming to drag people out of their homes, start disaliving them like chicken and goats. And as such, he admonished the military then that they should first of all go and disarm the bandits who, of course, bear arms illegally. And as the way it is, the military, the police, the navy, the air force, name it, have not been able to disarm the bandits. I know the government will always say we have porous borders, which of course is a statement of fact. But for me, I don't think that is an excuse for bandits to be festering. Because I could recall in sometime 3-4 years ago, when a 27-year-old Philip Wanton, an American citizen, was kidnapped, taken to Nigeria in Sokoto State. American Navy SEALs came here with their expertise, rescue him on hot. And of course, that is what we call capacity. That's what we call competence. And I think as a country, we must develop to that point, because it doesn't matter the opinion of anybody. As a country, you must possess monopoly of coercive power to exert authority, coercive power in every inch of your territorial integrity. That is what makes the government ultimate. Anything outside that, for me, is not, the government is not working, because the constitution is very clear about what shall constitute the primary purpose of governance. It says the welfare of the people and their security shall constitute the primary purpose of governance. And that is section 14, subsection 2B of 1999 Constitution as amended. So if that is the position of the Constitution, I'll have a situation where people are being killed, maimed, kidnapped for ransom with little or no resistance from the security agencies, then it speaks volume of the problem we are passing through. The other time, I understand that when the National Bureau of Statistics will come up with a record figure of the amount being paid by Nigerians for ransom, it ran into trillions of naira. So it got to show that, hence, the business of kidnapping for ransom has become a lucrative one, that the people who are doing it are not likely going to stop until they are met with a superior firepower from the government. And this we are not yet seeing. And we took note of when the government, under the last administration of Muhammad Buhari, will procure about 12 Tucano jets, which of course the main Nigerians should know or to believe that it was going to be a game changer in the fight against insurgency, in the fight against banditry. But up to today, I don't think the Tucano jets have played any significant role in becoming a game changer, because the rate of kidnapping, the rate of maiming, the rate of terrorism have not stopped. We continue seeing it unabated, because even Lakurawa that came up recently, I don't think if the government and the security agency have been able to tame the tide, I don't think Lakurawa would have reared its ugly head. Just like we see Boko Haram and yes, Boko Haram and other terror groups that have refused to go. But for me, the point here is the Fulani military are at the center of most of the violence, crime, crisis in terms of banditry we are seeing in the country. And again, that takes us to the point of state police. The government, as a matter of urgency and necessity, must tinker with the idea of state police. I understand that the government came up with the idea recently for forest guard, where they have advised the state governments to recruit between 2,000 and 5,000 personnel, depending on their financial capacity. But as we speak, it is on record that they have started the process, though the government made it clear that they will be trained and perhaps armed from the Office of the National Security Advisor. That would have been a good one if they follow it through. We understand that in the past, the issue of arming the state government security arrangement was a challenge. And I could remember the then governor of Ondo State talking about Akeredolu, may so rest in peace, who was always at loggerhead with the federal government under Muhammad Buhari, that you cannot allow civilian JTF in the north to be armed and say Amateku cannot be armed. You can understand that in the issue of armed procurement and deployment in Nigeria, you need an extra certificate that normally comes from the Office of the National Security Advisor. I think that is what they could not get under Muhammad Buhari to enable Amateku to bear such arm to combat crimes and criminality. But now, if you are coming up with state police and the State House of Assembly have been empowered to make laws to empower the state police, I believe they will be empowered to bear arm to combat crime and criminality. Because we cannot continue living at the mercy of what the government will equally call foreigners. Because even in the time of Buhari as the president, he made it very clear that these are foreigners who come from different parts of the world, who find their way in Nigeria, wreak havoc, kill, maim, and all of that. We saw a video where he equally had engagement with the president of United States of America, that is Donald Trump, in the first term of Donald Trump as president of America, where Buhari was equally telling the president of America that people who left Libya after the fall of Gaddafi, that the only training they had is how to shoot gun, and they find their way into Nigeria. Of course, they are wreaking havoc. The point is, we are supposed to be a sovereign state. It doesn't matter where anyone is coming from. The important thing is that as a country, you ought to have monopoly of coercive power to police every inch of your sovereignty. That we are not seeing the government having the ability to exert it on every inch of Nigerian sovereignty. Instead, the might of the government is always used to crush, to hound, to arrest, to intimidate those who are seeking to secede the country. And if you look at if you look at the angle of seeking to secede the country, it is even legitimate, because the constitution is very clear when it comes to self-determination. Because we have a UN Charter, I think Article 1 of UN Charter, that guarantees self-determination. We equally have African Charter of Human Rights that equally guarantees self-determination. So to that extent, hounding, arresting, intimidating those who are going for self-determination is not the way to go. Rather, in a civilized nation, society, what you ought to do is to organize a referendum and go and canvass your superior opinion. If you have a superior opinion, obviously you will win at the poll. But Handing, arresting, intimidating is not a panacea for peace, because we have seen it in the issue of Biafra agitation, that after the arrest of Nnamdi Kanu, he's facing prosecution in Nigeria. There's another arrest of Samarepa in Finland, who is obviously being prosecuted in Finland. That have not deterred those who are agitating from agitating. You can understand that there are even people who are pushing, jostling to fill the vacuum they left behind. So I've gone to show that hence is an ideology. It cannot be defeated by handing, arresting, and prosecution. We have equally seen the likes of Nobel laureate, talking about Professor Wole Soyinka, who have repeatedly made it clear that the issue of Biafra is an ideology, that you cannot defeat it through the power of God. Of course, you need constructive engagement. I think that is what is expected of federal government of Nigeria, because even the Britain that amalgamated everybody together in Nigeria, we saw them exiting European Union the other time, a situation where some were against it, some were for it. That is natural anyway. But at the end of the day, nobody was arrested, nobody was handed, nobody was intimidated, nobody was prosecuted. We even saw about 2 prime ministers resigning sequel to that push. But at the end of the day, it was consummated and they exited European Union. And today, they are not members of the European Union. In the same vein, I was expecting that the British government should have played such a role to enable Nigerians to decide their fate. And we understand that even the other time, Sunday Igboho went to UK to submit a letter for Oduduwa Republic to British, yes, the office of the Prime Minister of England. He was advised to go back to Nigeria and join her with other members, join her with other Nigerians to move Nigeria forward. The question is, when Britain wanted to exit European Union, did anybody ask them to stay behind and join her with other member European Union countries to move European Union forward? Now, all hands must be on deck to ensure that life is safe in Nigeria. Because for me, life is sacrosanct. It's sacrosanct because as humans, we do not have what it takes to create life. So taking it at every point recklessly, like we see from the Fulani militias, is unacceptable. Thank you very much.